Imagine this. You wake up early, hoping for a peaceful moment with your coffee, but instead, you're thrown into the heart of a nightmare you never saw coming. That was me, Evan Johnson, once a happily married man of 25 years. But today, I'm sitting in my kitchen, holding a cup of coffee, struggling to hold back the storm brewing inside me. Why? Because just a few hours ago, I found out my wife, my Audrey, wasn't just fighting empty nest syndrome. She was fighting something far more dangerous. And that's when I discovered the shocking truth about the man she called Stallion. Hello, and welcome to my channel, where we share some of the most intense and unforgettable stories of betrayal and revenge. I should be at work right now, but instead, I'm sitting here, unexpectedly calm, at the kitchen table with a fresh cup of coffee. I needed this to steady myself. Normally, I find these quiet moments peaceful. I used to do this all the time when our kids were younger. I'd wake up an hour earlier than everyone else just to enjoy the stillness of the morning. It became something of a routine for me. I'm Evan Johnson, by the way. I've been happily married for 25 years. Or, at least, I was a few hours ago. My wife, Audrey, and I have 4 children, the last of whom moved out last year. Audrey had been struggling with what I think she called empty nest syndrome. So I suggested she find a new hobby. I think she did. About an hour ago, actually. I didn't know his name at the time, but it didn't take long to figure out. His name was Stallion. Or at least, that's what she kept calling him. Come on, Stallion, do it. I know you can, she shouted. It was odd. Normally, the smell of my coffee would draw Audrey downstairs before it even finished brewing. But today, she didn't seem to notice. Perhaps she was too preoccupied. I suppose that explains it. You're so much better than my spineless weakling husband, she whispered. As I sat there, my coffee mug resting in front of me, I noticed my old Smith & Wesson Model 59 sitting on the kitchen table, loaded and within arm's reach. I hesitated for a moment, deciding to put the safety on. Just in case. I had to be careful. After all, her new boyfriend was a cop. How did I know? Well, when I came home early today, his police uniform and gear belt were scattered across the living room floor, along with my wife's clothes. I could hear them in the bedroom. The bed springs creaked, and the headboard hit the wall with every thrust. I couldn't concentrate. The noise was unbearable. I wasn't sure how long I had before they finished, but judging by the intensity, I had time to think. This wasn't the first time, I could tell. I overheard them talking. We need to find a way to spend more time together, 2 or 3 times a week, not just once in a while. That was Audrey. Or at least, I think it was her. How did I get to this point? It all started with a simple mistake. I left for work this morning and forgot my briefcase. Or more accurately, I left it in the garage because I was trying to coax our cat, Tabby, out from under the car hood and forgot about it. It reminded me of another time, years ago, when I forgot to tap the hood before starting the car. That's how we lost Clarence, our first cat. The sound of a cat caught in a fan belt is something you never forget. Never again will that weakling you call your husband touch me, I overheard Audrey say. He'll never touch me again, I swear. I hadn't planned to go back home, but I had to visit a client who took me straight there. As I turned onto my street, I saw a police car parked in front of my house, and it felt like a dagger to the heart. Something awful had to have happened to Audrey. I rushed into the driveway, nearly hitting her shiny new Lexus, and didn't even bother closing the door behind me. That's how I ended up here, sitting with a cup of coffee, listening to them. In the other room, I was sitting there, craving whiskey, but knew I had to stay sharp, so I stuck with coffee. As much as I hated to admit it, the screams coming from the other room were beyond disturbing. And seeing it unfold? Even worse. But I had to witness it to get the footage and sound I needed. Honestly, watching them tumble in my bed wasn't even the worst part. The real gut punch was the humiliation. My wife, with all her energy, pouring it on. You're so much better than Evan. Give it to me, baby, all of it. The words echoed through the house, and as her lover's grunting filled the air, the bed started shaking. The whole damn house seemed to tremble with their twisted symphony. Let me tell you, nothing prepares you for the shock of finding your wife in bed with another man, especially not in your own marriage bed. And yeah, they were on my side. She was riding him, breathless, as she told him how much it turned her on. That's when I ran to the bathroom, bent over the toilet, and threw up my breakfast. To my surprise, they didn't hear or smell it. They were too lost in their moment to notice anything. Part of me couldn't even believe what I was seeing. My wife, 50 years old, and the guy she was with couldn't have been more than 30. Fit, toned, everything I wasn't. Why couldn't she have found someone else's husband? Maybe someone closer to her age? The whole thing just didn't make sense. It felt like it would never end. But after about 90 minutes, it got quiet. I thought maybe they were taking a break. Then, out of nowhere, I hear her say, "What's that smell? Did you make coffee?" Her lover didn't respond, and all I heard was a panicked, "Oh my God," from Audrey. Then came the sound of chaos. Closet doors slamming, dresser drawers flying open, laundry baskets toppling over. I assumed they were scrambling to cover their tracks. I made a mental note to get tested for STDs, just in case. I heard them coming down the stairs, both of them wrapped, in sheets, naked. When they saw me, Audrey gasped, and her lover froze. I'm not sure if his shock was from me being there or from the Smith & Wesson Model 59 I was holding. He glanced nervously at the uniform, then seemed to deflate right before my eyes. "Where's your service weapon?" I asked, watching his face crumble. "Your boss took it with him when he left," I told him. "Caring guy, huh?" At that, he sank to his knees, dropping the sheet as he frantically searched the floor, muttering about his throwing weapon, as if that would somehow save him. He was visibly devastated when he realized the serial number had been filed off. That's prison time for sure. I couldn't help but throw in a little jab. "Sergeant Marks also grabbed your patrol car. Your boss said you were providing security at the construction site. He almost took your uniform too, but he figured you might need it when you left here." Then I gave him the final blow. "Oh, and I heard you two lovebirds were quite busy upstairs. I think Sergeant Marks got a nice video of your little date. Hope you're proud." He looked like he wanted to crawl into a hole. As I turned away, I asked him one last thing. "You don't have a third gun, do you?" He shook his head. I knew he didn't. I just wanted to make sure he understood where this was headed. Maybe it was time to call your wife for a ride home? Probably not, I thought. "She's probably too upset about that video I emailed her," I added with a smirk. Audrey's high-pitched scream cut through the air. "You what?" I couldn't resist. "Yeah, your car got impounded. Apparently, there were a couple of ounces of unaccounted-for marijuana in the front seat. Mark said they usually just write a ticket if they do anything at all. But this time, he felt they owed me something for all the trouble the police department had caused me." "Don't worry," he reassured me. "You'll probably be able to pick up the car in a few days after they finish their forensics." But as I sat there, a cold realization hit me. I could hear her, not screaming anymore, but a sad, haunting moan, almost like a lonely hound howling at the moon. "Well, officer, I think it's time for you to leave," I said, my voice steady. He nodded, and with one last glance, he left. As soon as he was gone, my wife regained her composure and turned to me. "Evan, please." "I love you," she said, her voice trembling. "It didn't mean anything, it was just a hobby, something like that." I stared at her, feeling a wave of relief mixed with anger. "I wish you'd told me that sooner. I was worried you were in love with him, that you were going to leave me." She looked guilty. "Oh God, I should have said something. I didn't mean to hurt you." I let out a long breath. Well, now I feel stupid. I guess I really overreacted, huh? I mean, you love me, right? "Of course I love you, Evan. Why would you ever doubt that?" I chuckled, but it was bitter. "Well, aside from you cheating on me, having your lover in my bed, calling me a stupid idiot covered in crayon, there were a few signs." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "Evan, I never did that. It was just talk, bedroom talk, to get us in the mood." I froze, then raised an eyebrow. "Wait, you overreacted? What did you do?" She looked confused. "Pick me up? What do you mean?" I sighed, matter of fact. "You'll need a place to stay. The house is going to be sold as part of the divorce." "Divorce?" Her voice cracked with disbelief. "What did you think would happen when I found out, Audrey? Her silence was deafening as she tried to formulate a response. I didn't think... I cut her off. Yeah, I'm sure you didn't think you'd get caught. The silence upstairs stretched on for a few minutes, broken only by her sporadic sobs. Why do cheaters always cry when they're caught? It's almost as if they expect sympathy. Well, here's a thought. If being caught is so bad, maybe don't cheat in the first place. 10 minutes later, she came downstairs, dressed but without her suitcase. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow. Evan, honey, we're really just... She stopped when she heard the sound of her parents' car pulling up outside. Goodbye, Audrey, I said, holding the door open for her with all the grace I could muster. As she left, I turned to the camera and addressed the audience. What do you think of this? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. Trust me, the next one will be even crazier. But if you're under 18, I recommend skipping it.